Just in time for White Boy Summer, the Justice Department is moving very strongly. I really was unfamiliar with your game, Todd Blanche. Todd Blanche is somebody who has changed everything, and I don't know if this is a Pam Bondi thing, if this is just like the speed at which everything grinds and moves. Perhaps it moves incredibly slowly and incompetently for 18 months, and then suddenly, at the snap of a finger, the drop of a hat, you are mass raiding Somali fraudsters, arresting Dr. Fauci and his scientists, indicting James Comey multiple times, Act Blue under investigation, SPLC under investigation, and exposes a hate hoax ops. John Brennan under investigation, Fannie Willis under investigation, J6 liar Cassie Hutchison under investigation. All of them will be going to prison. And according to my sources, they're just getting started. You know, all of this happened within 2 weeks. So I just got to say, like, it's been pretty impressive. And lo and behold, just seconds ago, they were able to secure indictments for people that attacked Savannah Hernandez. She's a friend of the show, somebody who does on-the-ground reporting for Turning Point USA, somebody that we know and love. Savannah Hernandez is great, and she was attacked, spit on, and savagely thrown to the ground by a bunch of liberal orcs. And today, 3 individuals have been indicted for assaulting TPUSA reporter Savannah Hernandez. Recent video of the individuals assaulting Savannah surfaced in Minnesota. Of course, Minnesota. The FBI immediately engaged and led the investigation. And we're all thankful Savannah is okay. If you want to try something similar, the FBI will find you. This is strong. It's strong. And perhaps this is something that, will get them in trouble. Meaning, Dan Bongino just did a recent podcast, just dropped, actually, with John Hannity. And Bongino is explaining that the changes that they made at the FBI is probably actually going to leave Kash Patel and Dan Bongino hunted by the deep staters when they take power again. If that ever happens. I mean, we've had some pretty incredible rulings today, Voting Rights Act and so on. I think Republicans are now set to win the Senate and the House in the midterms. What will happen next? Democrats are going to lose power quickly. But Dan Bongino is saying that we changed so much here that they're going to come for us. Here we go.
Change what we have made enough dramatic changes. We put a ton of new FISA rules in place. I mean, Cash and I were on FISA probably 3-4 times a week in special meetings just for that. I brought in a lawyer just for FISA to go over that stuff. We put in new guardrails, new penalties. We reorganized the place so that intel was more manageable and you couldn't like hide pockets of intel. You're not going to be able to hide the PP tape now. They're going to have to change what we did, which is going to create a paper trail that I'm warning them, like when they say it changes back to us again, we're going to find again. So good luck. I'm not telling you they're not going to do it. I'm worried about it, but I'm just telling you, we did a massive amount of change. And I think you're going to see, and I said on my show, so I feel free telling you how, we're not done. I mean, that Comey indictment, if you think that was the end, like you're out of your mind. We're
not done. And we'll see what happens with the 2 FBIs. So the bad FBI versus the good FBI. What is that exactly?
To help you solve the A, B, and C problems. And that's FBI 1 and FBI 2. Like there's 2 FBI. Yes, there were 2 FBIs. There was the FBI of like bust your ass, VCAC agents, violent crimes against children, white collar agents, violent crime fugitive task force. And some of these guys, I was just honored to be in the room. They were like, we have this TFO's task force officer down in Miami. This guy, his first name is Joe, his last name is This guy's been on the job 38 years. You know how many violent criminals are off the street because of this guy and the agents he works with? I mean, he's a TFO, but the agents were like that too. And then you had this other FBI, which was populated with, to say, unfortunately, snakes as being nice. And here's the problem, Sean. It wasn't always obvious which FBI they were in. So you're trying to solve like a level A problem, which has like no solution. There's a shitty solution and a shittier one. And I got to tell you, it's almost like a coin toss because either way, someone's going to get hurt. Okay. And you're trying to figure this out and you're asking someone for advice. You've only been there a couple weeks and you don't know if that person is part of the good FBI or the bad FBI.
Kind of interesting to hear Bongino talk through this and to effectively explain that he's scared for his life. says that they will come after him and Kash Patel, I will never be the same. And I'm being serious as a stroke right now. I'm scared, man. I know what I did, and I'm proud of my work. But he's scared for his life. There's a clip that's getting all the play. I feel like there's a lot of stories that are still untold here.
Accomplished in the past year, beyond proud. I know what we did. I know what's coming. I know what I started. Some of it's, I know what I laid out, and I know it's all, you saw a lot of these cases coming out over the past few days even. But don't think for a second that I don't think every day, and this is what's really sad, and this is why I know, and I never thought this after reading that enough Friday night, that they're going to come for me. And listen, man, it's not a sob story. I knew what I was getting into. But it happened to the president, and he went through just the worst, just destruction of his civil liberties I've ever seen. But I say to my wife all the time, I know, Sean, I can look you in the face as a friend, tell you and your millions of viewers and listeners, I promise you everything I did with a dotted I and a crossed T. I brought in my own attorney from the outside, person I trusted, a wonderful, wonderful person. I said, no, everything is going to be by the book. Everything. I'm confident in that. You know what? It don't matter. They'll rewrite the book, just like they did for President Trump. And I said to my wife, I said, I got a 14-year-old. The presidency could change. I hope it doesn't in a little over 2 years. You don't think on election night, if we lose, like it's not going through my head, like they're going to send some thugs to my house? I was never the same after that, because after reading what I read about how many people did this to President Trump, this Russia hoax, collusion, crossfire hurricane bullshit, and not a single person stopped them, I'm terrified that they're just not going to do the right thing when they're in charge.
He says they're going to come after me. I'm scared for my life.
But listen, I will never be the same, and I'm being as serious as a stroke right now. Look, I'm scared, man. Like I know what I did.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think he's right. I think that anybody, myself included, anybody who's even remotely close to the Trump orbit has now a massive target on their back, either from Looney Tunes, right, who shoot up Charlie Kirk or try and storm events with guns, or from federal agents. And I'm not sure which one I'm scared more about, right? We've been caught up in our own Russia hoax that I'm convinced was funded by USAID and the federal government. And we've already witnessed this, like the depravity of what they are willing to do in order to knock out independent creators and media that stood next to the president and that didn't waver and didn't take the foreign money and didn't take the bribes and didn't take, the sex with hookers, right, and the drugs and everything that didn't take all the bribes in order to be compromised. And it was like Charlie was the utmost person who wasn't compromised. And now he's dead. And Charlie was, of course, targeted viciously by the Biden DOJ. That happened time and time again. I was in the room when so much of that happened. Came after Turning Point constantly. Dan Bongino basically saying that we have rogue factions operating in our intel agencies. To be honest, I don't think anybody is surprised by that. Dan Bongino reveals he'll never be the same. I'm scared. I know what I did. I know what's coming. It's coming for me. They're coming for me. I know what I started, says Dan Bongino. And if the left gets power, everything was done by the book, but it doesn't matter. They'll rewrite the book and they'll come after me. They're going to come after me. He says, don't stop fighting. Dan Bongino, more things happening with the James Comey arrests. So you better make it stick. More things happening with the Somali raids. You better make it stick. Pray for Dan Bongino. Pray for the people who sacrificed everything to go work in the administration, right? And honestly, I have my share of critiques. I have screamed them on this channel. I have said them out of respect and love. But I got to say, when you give up tens of millions of dollars in order to go in and to serve your country for the president of the United States, I think it's honorable. And I guess we'll see what happens next. Things are happening. I guess we'll see what happens next. It's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe. See ya.